Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles with me. Good to be back another Saturday, back in action. Alex, how are you?
Good, man. It's been a good week. We've just been hanging out, catching up on all these NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, watching sports, talking sports. It's a good time, man. It's a fun time.
It's been a great week. You have a highlight?
Highlight of my week? Just being out there calling high school soccer, man. Nothing too crazy. You had a good week, though.
I did have a good week. It was my wife's birthday, so for her birthday, we went to Disneyland, and it was great. Spent a couple days down there. Her parents live in Las Vegas, so we drove to Anaheim, stopped in Vegas on the way there and on the way back to see the in-laws, but spent a couple days in Disney. Great weather, dude. This is probably the best time of the year to go to Disney. Like, it was cool in the mornings, but not too cold. And then in the day, it warmed up, but it wasn't, like, overly hot. So we had a great time. I hadn't been in, like, I want to say 15 years or something like that.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
I got to go see the Star Wars land. I'm a big nerd, so that was fun to see all the Star Wars stuff. The new Cars land in California Adventure. That was awesome. A lot of fun rides. It was packed, but we had a great time.
I bet. That's probably why I would never go to Disneyland. It's too many people.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you ever been?
No. Never been, never plan on going.
You're not a Disney fan?
I mean, I am a Disney fan. I'm just not a fan of standing in line for an hour waiting for rides.
Yeah, some of the rides crowds were absurd.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
What about Are you a Star Wars fan?
I do. Yeah, I watch Star Wars.
Did you go watch the 20th anniversary re-release of Revenge of the Sith?
I did not. I had an invite from my siblings, and I ended up doing something else.
So we were busy all week. It got re-released last Saturday.
Right.
And they were saying, it'll be in theaters for a week. So I was like, okay, well, I'll be back, later this week. I was planning on watching it last night. We get home, check all the theaters. It was not in theaters anymore. So that was a bummer. Watched it at home, though.
That's unfortunate.
Great movie.
I feel like you have to watch it in theaters.
I know. Once. Well, and it's funny. That's like the earliest movie that I remember seeing in the theaters.
Nice.
My brother and I wore like Jedi robes to go see. we
what
brought
a nerd.
Lightsabers. So yeah, like I wanted to go see it in theaters again because it's awesome. But
good, man. No, well, I mean, hopefully, there'll be more re-releases. I remember seeing the Phantom Menace get re-released a few years ago, and I did that and watched it in theaters, and so I feel like anybody who likes Star Wars, anybody who watches Star Wars, I feel like they have to go out and watch the re-releases and just experience that in theaters at least once.
Yeah, make more money for Disney.
That too.
They don't have enough.
Apparently.
Parker producing Behind the Glass. Parker, you got a highlight of the week?
Yeah. I mean, it's been a good week so far. I mean, I'm house sitting right now for some friends, and I get to spend time with a really cool dog and some cool cats. So like that's great. But
there you go.
I think the highlight of my week was I got to go visit some other friends who have a couple of kids, and to spend time with them. They got like a 4-year-old and one that's about to turn 2, and so we just horsed around and did some like spelling and stuff with the 4-year-old, and I feel really proud of myself because like I wanted to watch Beauty and the Beast with the oldest one, and I put it on, and she sat through the whole thing. And I was just like so impressed.
So you picked a good movie.
I picked a good movie. It's just like to get a toddler to sit through the entirety of anything, I feel like is an accomplishment. So.
The original or the remake?
Yeah, the original.
Okay.
The original.
Okay.
Good. Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. And yeah, getting a young kid to sit through a movie, tough. But good on you. Well, Alex, let's talk let's start with NBA.
Let's do it.
The big news yesterday, of course, Greg Popovich announced that the Spurs announced that Greg Popovich is stepping down as the head coach. Of course, we all know he had the medical episode earlier in the year, so he has not been coaching the Spurs basically all season. He had a stroke, and then he had another incident not too long ago, pretty recently. But anyways, at his age, 70, what is he, like 76 or something?
Yeah.
It's time. We all pretty much expected that this was going to happen. But now that the season is officially over, they announced that Pop is not going to coach anymore. And obviously, legend of the game, did a lot of great things in San Antonio. You know, of course, what sticks out to me is watching the young Kawhi Leonard and the old Tim Duncan take down the Heatles in the finals. Like that, that's awesome. And to be able to do that, he's had a legendary career. And it sucks. It's really unfortunate to watch a legend like this basically be forced to step away, not on their own time. And that's always hard to watch. But a lot of respect to Pop.
Yeah, absolutely, man. He's earned the respect, I think, of a lot of people across the league. It's unfortunate to see him have to step down because, you know, he has to look out after himself. You know, at the end of the day, you have to watch out for your health. You have to make sure that you're good. And already experienced 2 medical episodes this season, and so it I think it was just time. It's awesome that he gets to stay involved with the organization, right? He's the president now, and so the legacy that he leaves behind is winning those championships with San Antonio, the Tim Duncan era, and all that.
One of the most underrated players in NBA history, like literally.
Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would maybe. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And now this was interesting. So, of course, that was going to be a coveted job, was the initial thought, because, of course, they have Wembanyama. They just traded for De'Aaron Fox. They could have another good lottery pick this year. We'll see what happens there.
They also have the Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year, Steph Castle.
Yeah.
And so everybody's like, okay, who's going to take this? Could somebody like Michael Malone be interested? Could Taylor Jenkins be interested, a guy who's part of that Pop tree? No, Alex, they announced not too long after that Mitch Johnson is going to take over. He had been serving as the interim anyways all season, so he's just going to inherit the team. Do you think that's the right move, or do you think they should have made a splash higher and try to get a bigger name with to help with Wembanyama's development early on?
I think time will tell with this one. Obviously, he was an assistant. He's been an assistant for Pop since 2019, right? And so he understands Pop. He understands the system and the way that the San Antonio Spurs want to play.
Yeah.
It makes sense to keep some familiarity there for the players, especially with a young core, especially with a younger team.
Yeah.
Per se. And so it makes sense to keep someone who's going to bring the same ideas and the same philosophies as Greg Popovich was bringing. Will it work out? That's obviously something we're going to have to find out down the road.
Yeah.
And maybe, you know, in a year the Spurs can reassess the situation, but I think it's good for them to give this young guy a run at it, see what he can do, man. See what he can do as the leader of this team. He's only 38. He's going to be one of the younger coaches in the league, and I think that's kind of the direction that we're seeing right now with younger coaches kind of stepping up in, like, for example, a Will Hardy. So we'll see what.
Also a Pop guy.
Also a Pop guy. So we'll see. You know, and that's the thing, man. As we can talk about the championships, we can talk about the Tim Duncan era. You know, winning a championship with Kawhi. But I think one of the bigger things and one of the bigger legacies that Pop leaves behind is he's put a lot of great coaches into the league, man.
Yeah.
And we'll see if the same thing can be said about Mitch Johnson here in a year or two.
31-45 was Johnson's record this season as the interim head coach. And I'm with you. I do like the idea of promoting from within initially. He essentially had, you know, let's just say that's almost a whole season already. Give him another year or two as the head coach. See if it feels right. See if it works out. And if it doesn't work out at that point, then you go make your splash hire. Then you go get a big name. Because if you get a big name right away and it doesn't work out,
right,
then you look dumb. You've got the egg on your face. You don't want to be the guy that follows the guy. That's kind of the phrase that you hear with coaching searches like this.
And it's going to be really difficult to follow up what Pop has done.
And so if you promote, you know, this guy, Mitch Johnson, okay, and he does a good job, then you're sitting pretty. And you don't have to worry about it.
Right. And the best thing is, like I said, this team has a young core. There's a lot of young guys, a lot of good young players on this team. And so if you allow Mitch Johnson to kind of take the reins for the next, 2 or 3 years and it's not working out and you have to move on, then that's okay, because you still have young guys on this team who haven't hit their ceilings yet,
right,
who haven't reached their potential. And so if it, like I said, if it's not working out, you can make that change down the road and still have younger-ish guys playing on this team.
Right. Wemby is not even close to his prime yet. So you don't have to worry about hitting your ceiling right now. You can take time, like you're saying, 2 or 3 years as a team, including the head coach, to develop and get yourself there. And then, once that time comes down the road, that's when you can say, okay, we should be achieving a little more. Let's go get somebody else. But we'll see how this goes. It's always kind of shaking a little bit to see, when Saban walked away or when Belichick walked away. Like, these guys are legends of the game and have done so many important things for the sport. So it's interesting to watch for sure. And then, of course, San Antonio, not the biggest market, right? So it is always interesting to see on that side how that shakes out, for a small market team. The Memphis Grizzlies also announced they have their new head coach. They hired Tuomas Lisalo. He, again, was the interim there in Memphis. So both of these teams fired their head coaches the Grizzlies fired their head coach.
Yes.
With not too long left in the season, and then Johnson was, again, the interim. But these guys are not doing a search. They're just promoting from within.
See, and that was the Memphis job, I thought, was going to be up for a big hire. Because
they, like we were just talking about with the Spurs, the Spurs aren't at that point where it's like, okay, we have to make a move now. The Grizzlies are at that point, and they're coming off an embarrassing playoff exit. And, of course, we're actually going to talk about this more in the next segment, like what's next for the Grizzlies and some of these other teams that got eliminated as far as blowing up the roster. But is this guy really what they need to put them over the top? Do they really think he's the best candidate? And it's hard to say because, again, he took over the team with, I want to say it was like 2 weeks or maybe a month left in the season. Yeah, it was not very long.
It was not very long. It was pretty close to the playoffs.
And so it's hard to adjust and get ready for the playoffs with that short of a change, but I don't like this.
I don't either, man. I thought this Memphis job would have been enticing to a Mike Malone.
Yeah, you've got
to a Budenholzer.
Jaren Jackson Jr., you've got Ja Morant, you've got Desmond Bane, and of course some of those guys, or at least one of them, could get moved this season. But yeah, you'd like to see a bigger splash there for a team that it feels like they are there and they need to make a move. Yeah. They can't just be content with this.
We'll get to it next segment, but I think there's a reason why he was promoted.
Yeah,
and we'll get to that.
All right. Okay, well, as far as right now, let's just jump into the playoffs. We've had some exciting action. Let's start with the not exciting games, not to turn away listeners. Obviously, OKC dominated Memphis. We'll stick there. 4-0. The Thunder are moving on. And it never felt like, Game 4 was 117-115, but it never felt like Memphis had a chance at all.
No.
And it probably feels like Ja Morant could have played his last game as a Grizzly, and he's kind of become a headache, more of a headache than what he's worth, and it's just not working.
And I think the same thing can be similarly said to that Heat-Cavs series, where the Miami Heat just never had a chance.
Yeah, and that's hard because they already traded away their guy, right? So we never expected anything of Miami once they traded Jimmy Butler. Now they're eliminated. They get to kind of take a step back and decide what's next for this franchise. Like they don't, Bam and Tyler Herro have been there for a little bit, but it's like, are those the guys you want to build your team around, or are they more just role players? I know Bam has a pretty high ceiling sometimes. I personally don't love him, but again, Cleveland moving on. They win 4-0. Maybe we can focus a little more on that. Do you think that they have the firepower to do what it takes and win maybe the East and go to the finals?
The Cavs?
Yeah.
I think they do, man.
You think they can get past Indiana? Indiana looked good against Milwaukee. And I don't know if that says more about the Pacers or about the Bucks. But I think this series is actually going to be really fun.
I think I love this matchup. I think between, Mitchell and Garland, I think they match up really well with the Pacers front court. Siakam has, since being traded to the Pacers, I thought has leveled up his game a little bit, and he's looked a lot better now with the Pacers than he did with Toronto. There's a lot to love about this series, and I think ultimately the Cleveland has, in my opinion, the better depth, and that will push them through.
Over Indiana? Overall in the East?
No, over Indiana.
Okay.
If they get to the Celtics...
We'll talk about that when it comes.
We'll talk about it when it comes.
All right. Okay, speaking of the Celtics, they win 4-1. Again, not much trouble. And this was, everybody knew this was going to be the case in the East.
I did like the fight from Orlando, though.
A little bit.
I did like the fight.
What was that, Game 3 or so? Game 2 or Game 3 was... And they won a game, I guess.
They did. Yeah, it was a gentleman's sweep. 4-1 in the end. Boston takes it. But I think the Magic, similarly to the conversation we'll have about the Pistons, they got some young players.
They just don't have anybody that can score.
That's the thing. But they do have young players that I think can potentially help the Orlando Magic keep growing. As far as I can remember, right, ever since I think I started really paying attention to the NBA, the Magic was just never respected.
No.
They were never a good team.
Yeah.
They were always one of the worst teams in the East, man. And so I think it's fun. Again, similarly to the Pistons, it's fun to see Orlando kind of start taking those steps to be more competitive. And I thought that they showed good fight against the Celtics. They still need a lot. They're still missing a lot. But there's some guys on that roster that I think can potentially make a step next season and potentially get them winning more games and maybe even win a playoff series. Who knows?
Yeah, Paolo has the potential to be great. And I'm excited to see maybe if he can take a Cade Cunningham-like jump in the next season. I wouldn't be shocked by that at all. Franz Wagner's pretty good as well, but the fit there is kind of clunky. They don't really complement each other's play styles very well. Jake and Ben talk about this all the time. They could really benefit from somebody like a Colin Sexton, kind of a do-it-all scorer on offense. They desperately need that to just kind of bring a spark. But we'll see. I mean, they're going to be players in the offseason because they know they've got to make a move. And there are a lot of teams that are going to be players, I think, and a lot of teams that are going to be looking to ship guys away. So we'll keep an eye on Orlando because they could make a splash this offseason.
I'm looking forward to it, man. And like I said, I think if anyone's going to take that Cunningham jump, if you will, it's going to be Ben Carroll.
Well, yeah, number 1 overall pick.
Yes, absolutely.
Knicks, Pistons, speaking of Cade Cunningham, it was cool to see the Pistons go from the worst record in the NBA last year to really fighting and scrapping. And they won 2 games in this playoff series, although they were eliminated. The Knicks take it 4 games to 2, and the Knicks will be playing Boston in the next round. Anything jump out to you from this series? I don't really love the Knicks.
I think we gotta give credit to Jalen Brunson though.
Yeah, that game winner was awesome.
Like him or hate him, Jalen Brunson has been such a phenomenal addition to the Knicks. I don't know if the Knicks are there yet to potentially make a run at the Eastern Conference.
Yeah,
but it's been a good run. It's been fun.
Well, they're managing the team like they're there yet, which is funny because they don't really have any other moves left to make.
They don't.
Aside from blowing things up. I think Mikal Bridges has kind of been a disappointment. He has been a disappointment so far through the playoffs, and maybe he'll show up for the bigger series, right? Who knows? But he did not play very well against Detroit, and they gave up so much to get him. I like the Cat trade for them. Not a fan of Julius Randle at all. So I think basically swapping those two helps out a little bit. But bottom line, I don't think they're going to get past Boston. I think Boston's going to win this series. It might go 6 games. It's not going to go 7.
No, they definitely don't have enough, I think, to get past the Celtics. And I mean, it's like we've talked about it in the past. Until it's proven that somebody in the East can beat the Celtics are the team to beat.
Yeah, I get that to an extent.
And I don't think the Knicks have enough to get past Boston. I love Karl-Anthony Towns. Like I said, I think we have to give a lot of credit and a lot of love to Jalen Brunson for what he's done this season and for what he's done in the playoffs. Wins the Clutch Player Award and then scores the winning bucket right in the clutch to get them past and win the series. But
Clutch Player of the Year, what a joke of an award. What is that?
But I don't know, man. The Knicks, they're missing something. And I think that's something they thought they were going to get in Bridges. But like you mentioned, Bridges has yet to show up.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, they need him right now for Boston because that's such a big series. And maybe if he comes on and they're firing on all cylinders, maybe they'll be a lot better. But we haven't seen it yet.
And we got to give love, too, to the Pistons, man. We were just talking about it. They were the worst team in the NBA last season.
Yeah.
They won 14 games last year.
Yes. And they got screwed in the lottery. They dropped all the way down to 5.
Hey, Jazz fans, beware.
Can't happen twice in a row, right?
Could it, though? Could it, though? Could it, though? Anyway, we got to give love to the Pistons, man. From them going to the bottom of the NBA last season, being literally breaking records for being terrible, to coming back and being competitive. And I think a lot of it has to do with that jump that we were talking about with Cade Cunningham. Cunningham looks like he is on that curve now to almost being one of the next superstars, being one of the next big players in the NBA. And if the Pistons can continue that upward trajectory that they're on this season, we'll be talking about the Pistons potentially winning some series within the next year or two.
This is what's funny about the NBA. I mean, if a player doesn't hit right away, then fans act like the world is ending. The sky is falling.
Yeah.
You got to realize, like, these one-and-done players are literally 19 years old when they come in the league, maybe 20. They're so young. And even with Wemby, right? Like, Wemby just played his second year. He missed a large chunk of it, right? Before then, he was showing flashes, but it's still kind of scary to think, like, that's not even, like I said earlier, that's not even close to his prime. The potential that these guys have, it takes a couple of years to really not only get better, but just physically grow as a person because they are kids when they come into the league. So it takes a little bit. But, yeah, Cade Cunningham has really, really put himself on the map. We got to talk Lakers. They get embarrassed.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah. They lose 4-1. Minnesota moving on. Rudy Gobert had a phenomenal game. What was it? 27 points, 24 rebounds.
Yeah, man.
So that's awesome. The Luka LeBron experiment is not working. I don't think that's the plan for the future. I think the plan was just to get Luka and kind of ride things out for now and then just build around Luka in the future. But we'll see what happens with LeBron. This is pretty interesting. You know that he's not happy about this. You know he's not happy about losing Anthony Davis. So we'll see what he does. I don't think he's going to retire. Could he play elsewhere? Could be a big domino.
Okay. With the Luka move, obviously Luka's going to be the next big thing for the Lakers.
The next face of
They're the
Lakers.
next. Yes, he's the next guy. So would it be beneficial to move on from LeBron this offseason and just start solely focusing on building that team against or around Luka Doncic?
I would think so.
He's 40 years old.
He's still pretty good.
He's still playing really high levels of basketball, but
he has a player option this offseason. So that's what it hinges on. It basically, if LeBron wants to go back to LA and play with Luka or not. I was reading some reports that he's not going to take a pay cut. So he's either picking up this option and returning to Los Angeles, or he's declining it and going to play elsewhere. So he could be a big fish in a free agent pond that doesn't really get a lot of big fish.
It'll be interesting to see what he decides to do, man, because I think right now, the way this team is set up, they're not built to win.
No.
They're not built to go deep in the playoffs.
And Minnesota was a bad matchup for them because Minnesota has good bigs.
Right.
And that's where the Lakers are really bad.
But then when you face any team in the playoffs, down the line, if you run it back with this same exact team next season, which, I know they won't, but you're going to run into the same issues.
Yeah.
You have to, like we were talking about last week, man, you got to build some defense.
However that comes.
And I think you have to, if you're the Lakers, you have to start seriously considering moving on from LeBron.
Yeah, I think I would agree. You look at defense in the NBA, and it's kind of built from the middle out, right? Like if you're point of attack defender, which is probably going to be Luka.
Yes.
If he's weak, you better have a good center, which they don't.
They do not.
And that's how they got dominated. They got dunked all over.
Did you see Williams' tweet after the series?
Which one?
The one where he just put the smiley face.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. Williams, the player from Charlotte
was supposed to go to LA.
They traded for.
They traded for him, and then the trade got canceled because was it him that failed the physical?
I think it was him that failed the physical.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No, it's just funny how that trade. Again, the trade on LA's side was more for the future than right now. But as far as this first season, that trade did not work out for either side.
And again, like we were talking about last week, they need depth, man.
Yeah.
They need players off the bench. You look at that last closeout game against Minnesota where Minnesota won. You have 3 players off the bench. Nobody else played. And those bench players got you 4 points. You had 4 points off the bench, man.
It's awful. That's bad. So, yeah, Lakers, they might kind of hit a panic button. We'll see. But
they should be panicking.
They should be.
They absolutely should be.
Rockets Warriors. They're going to Game 7.
Who would have thought?
Did you think that was coming?
Absolutely not. Look, man.
Steven Adams, the Weapon X for Houston.
Yeah.
Golden State has no answer for Steven Adams.
No, they don't. And honestly, too, man, Fred VanVleet coming up out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and carrying them these last 2 games,
he
man.
He did a lot of good things in Toronto, and they were just bad, so it went under the radar. But he's been so consistent throughout his career, and I'm glad he's getting his shine. Forcing a Game 7 for Houston is huge. If they win Game 7, they will have come back from that 3-1 deficit that is so hard to do, happens so rarely. Golden State, on the other hand, if they lose this series, what do you even do if you're the Warriors?
Similarly to the conversation we just had with the Lakers.
You have to make major changes.
This is an aging team, man.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Houston...
Jimmy Butler isn't getting any younger.
No, Steph is old.
Curry
Draymond is old.
Draymond's not getting any younger.
They don't want Kuminga anymore.
Yeah. I think if the Warriors don't pull off a Game 7 win, there's going to be some conversations to be had in that front office at the Golden State Warriors, man.
Draymond Green had 8 points.
Oof.
What would you say you do here?
Nothing. Yeah, exactly.
However, man, I'm so excited for this Game 7.
Game 7 is always fun.
Both Game 7s.
Yeah.
We'll get into the Clippers here the Clippers Nuggets here in a second, but massive kudos to the Rockets, man. That young team, I did not expect them to push. You're down 3-1.
Yeah.
I thought that the Warriors were going to close out the series, but again, the Rockets have done such a phenomenal job to come back, make this a series. Now you're heading to Game 7 at home at the Toyota Center in Houston. Got to close it out.
What's funny is they won that Game 6 despite Jalen Green being hot garbage again. Yeah. 3 of 11 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3. He's not good.
I think that's what's made this comeback a little bit even more impressive, if you will. Because, Jalen Green is one of their star guys.
He's supposed to be.
He's supposed to be one of their star guys, but he hasn't necessarily shown up for this side. But they're still finding ways to win the game.
He had one game where he scored like 38 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then
I think it was Game 2.
All the other ones have been so bad. So he's so inconsistent, and the Rockets they don't have a face of their team really. Like you talk about VanVleet, they brought him in to be the vet and the leader in the locker room for all these kids. Pups can't raise pups. And he has been just that. But then it's like, Amen Thompson, he's young. Şengün is still young, and all
Yeah.
these guys are yet to hit their ceiling. So who is going to be the face of this team? Again, similar to Orlando, no matter what happens in this series, they're going to be players this offseason to make a big splash, whether that's for Kevin Durant or Lauri Markkanen or LeBron even. Who knows? But they need something, and it's clear that they already have a foundation there.
JJ actually brought this up yesterday, and he said that if any team should go after LeBron, it should be the Rockets.
Yeah, I mean, they need something.
Yeah. I've been incredibly impressed with Thompson this playoff series.
Yeah.
But Dylan Brooks, throw him in the trash.
Yeah.
Get rid of him.
Nobody likes him.
I don't like it.
I'm not even sure if Rockets fans like him. But the other Game 7 you mentioned, of course, and we predicted this.
We did.
Nuggets Clippers.
Yes.
Going to Game 7, and this has been really fun. Every single game has been close. It feels like the Nuggets playing with an interim coach. The Clippers, of course, get Kawhi Leonard and James Harden. Again, we talk about so often when Kawhi Leonard wants to play, he is phenomenal still. And he has what it takes to single-handedly win a playoff series.
Yes.
James Harden has been hot and cold. When he's hot, same thing, he can help you win a game. When he's cold, he will lose you games.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray for the Nuggets, most 40-point performances in Nugget playoff history. But similarly to Harden, when he's cold, he's ice cold. So this is just, it's been a whirlwind, a roller coaster, speaking of Disneyland, of a playoff series. I've been really happy with this one, and it's definitely been the marquee series of the first round.
Absolutely.
And I don't really know how good either of these teams are. Do they have what it takes to beat the Thunder in the next round? Or are they just both equally as mid, you know?
This series has been phenomenal. By far the best series, in my opinion, out of all the series.
Yeah.
When we talked about it too, man, when the Clippers are healthy, they're a really good side. Jamal Murray, when he has those performances, 43 points in game, was it 5?
I think so.
Phenomenal. Jamal Murray, when he shows up, he's still got it, man. And I think for the Nuggets to get through, they have to rely on a special performance from Jamal Murray because, like you mentioned, when he's not on, he's not on. And that's when the Nuggets struggle.
Right, and you know what you're going to get with Jokic. So that's why you don't bring him up.
Right.
Because no matter what he does, he needs help. He needs help from his supporting cast. He's not the type, similar to Giannis, right? Like he's a dominant offensive player, but he's not the type that's, like a Steph, for example, that can literally win you a game with his offensive numbers.
Absolutely.
Even with all the points and the assists that the Jokic can get, he needs help from this supporting cast. So whether it's Murray or Michael Porter Jr. or Aaron Gordon or maybe another good performance from Russell Westbrook, they need something tonight. Now, the Nuggets are at home for Game 7, so that's huge. They're only 1.5-point favorites. So Vegas is thinking that this is going to be a really fun game as well. I can't wait. 5:30 tip-off. Who you got?
Oh, I'm going Nuggets, man.
I'm going Clippers.
I'm going Denver at home.
I'm going Kawhi. Board man.
It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a good series, and I'll be there. I'm tuning in.
Yeah, got to watch it. All right, we're way over. We got to take a break. Coming up next, though, we've got a fun segment. We're going to talk about, how should I word this? Which of these teams that got eliminated should blow things up and consider trading some of their stars away? We'll hit that next. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles. Alex, we're making a detour. We teased that we were going to talk potential NBA trades. We went way over last segment. We don't have nearly enough time to get into some of that. So we'll talk Stanley Cup playoffs right here while we've got some time. The series I've been keeping up most with was definitely Vegas and Minnesota. Vegas moves on there. They won it 4-2. They were down 2-1, so good job by the Knights to come back and move on. They are the only team that is advanced in the West so far. Meanwhile, in the East, we've got the Capitals taking on the Hurricanes. Hurricanes got past New Jersey 4-1. Capitals got past Montreal 4-1. Then Toronto beat the Ottawa Senators 4-2. Toronto Maple Leafs will be taking on the Panthers. The Panthers beat the Lightning 4-1. Anything catching your eye in the Stanley Cup playoffs?
We got to start with the Panthers.
Okay.
How freaking good are they, man?
Yeah, defending champions. That's how good.
And I think they seriously have a shot at going back to back, man. The way I loved their series against Tampa, the battle for Florida was phenomenal, and the Panthers to move on. I think for the Tampa Bay Lightning, that first matchup they kind of got, I guess you could say, screwed because it's a really tough matchup against a really good team, and they're a really good team. But the Panthers took care of business, man. They look like the best team in hockey right now.
Yeah, well, Tampa was a 2 seed, and Florida was the 3 seed going in, so that was interesting. You know what I saw, though, after Tampa lost that series?
What's that?
Saw a lot of Lightning fans saying, should have never traded away Mikhail Sergachev. What an awful move. Yeah. Well, too bad, so sad. He's ours now.
And you love to see that,
That's how you know you got a good one.
Exactly.
When the other team, when the other fans miss him.
Exactly. It's unfortunate for the Tampa, but hey, another man's player is another man's treasure.
Talking about Tampa, got to bring this up too. They confirmed that head coach John Cooper will be returning to the Lightning next season. There has been a lot of speculation as far as ties to Utah and people within the Utah Hockey Club organization. No matter how you feel about Bear, when there's an opening, guys are always going to bring in their guys. But Tampa Bay confirms again, John Cooper is going to stay in Tampa at least for next season.
I think his contract runs out after that season.
Well, we'll see what happens then.
We'll see. I think this is the end of the story for now.
For now.
We'll probably see this come up again as we reach the end of next season.
365 more days, at least. Yes. Maybe longer, hopefully longer, if Utah's fighting the playoffs. Maybe this is what Bears got to do, right? Make the playoffs next season, win a series, maybe even 2. You don't have to worry about it.
100%. But if you don't make the playoffs next season,
yes,
then I think the fire.
Hello, John Cooper.
The fire will grow. The fire will
Certainly,
definitely grow.
Yeah.
And then going back to that Panther series, man, love Florida. They've been phenomenal all season. Another thing that's really stood out to me is the Oilers.
Yeah,
I thought the Kings. were going to do it, man. I thought the Kings were going to get the better of Edmonton this season. They were finally going to get over that hump. You're down 2-0. And then Game 3, 7-4. First of all, how high scoring has this series been?
Yeah, well, we talked about it a little bit last week. Like, that series in particular was really high scoring, a lot more than we're used to seeing. And we know this is the playoffs, but yeah, that was different.
6-5, LA takes the first game. 6-2, LA takes the second one. 7-4, 4-3, 3-1, 6-4. If you love goals, this was your series, man.
Yeah.
This was your. Who doesn't love goals? But the Oilers, like I said, man, I thought they were in trouble. You're down 2-0. The Kings looked really well oiled, and were playing really well. But I think that overtime. Good one. I thought that overtime win for the Edmonton Oilers in Game 4. I thought that was kind of the tipping point.
Yeah.
I thought after that the Kings didn't look as confident. Maybe I don't know if that's the right word, but
I get it.
They didn't look as confident after that overtime loss.
Losing an overtime game in the playoffs is certainly deflating.
Absolutely.
And I'm with you there. You look at the other 2 series in the West, though, they're both going to Game 7. The Jets and the Blues, and then the Stars and the Avalanche. I've been keeping up a little bit with the Avalanche and the Stars just because, obviously, on social media, I don't know, maybe it's because Denver's close. So I see a lot of Avalanche fans, but that's an interesting one. Of course, mentioned last week, their captain, Landeskog, he's playing his first games in like 2 years.
That's
Had
right,
kind of a freak injury, but he's back. He scored a goal in one of the earlier games. And then, of course, there's the whole storyline with Mikko Rantanen. They traded him away at mid-season, and then he actually got traded again not too long after that. So that's how he ends up in Dallas. But a lot of fun kind of storylines in that series there. And then the Jets and the Blues. Winnipeg was probably the best team in the NHL in the regular season. But then you have the Blues who really turned it on late and made a push to take that playoff spot from the Utah Hockey Club. But so that's been an interesting series there. We'll see how these end up.
Well, how many games did the Blues win to end the season, man?
They went on a hot streak. I know they ended up losing, so I don't think they went undefeated to close the season, but I think they hit double-digit wins in a row, I want to say, off the top of my head.
I'm pretty sure they did. But the Blues have been super hot, man.
Yeah.
And, because of the way Winnipeg's been playing all season, I think it would have been easy to believe that, the Winnipeg Jets were going to have an easy series to make it through the next round. But in reality, man, it's been far from it. They've taken the game to Winnipeg. The Blues have taken the game to Winnipeg, and it's ended up being a really good series.
Well, so the Jets won the first 2 games.
Right.
Then the Blues won the next 2 games. Then the Jets, then the Blues, and then Game 7 is tonight. Connor Hellebuck, the goaltender for the Jets, a lot of you may remember him from his performance at the Four Nations face-off. He had a bit of a disappointing game last night, I believe it was. The Jets lost 5-2. I saw a lot of people. Apparently, people don't like him, and I don't know why.
Oh.
But people were celebrating that he had a bad game. So we'll have to catch up on some of that lore, NHL lore. Maybe he's like a Dylan Brooks or a Draymond Green or whatever. I don't know if he's dirty, but it just sounds like nobody likes him.
He's a hockey villain.
Yeah, people were really happy that he allowed 5 goals last night.
Game 7s, though, man, I think across any sport, well, I mean, obviously, NBA, Game 7s always deliver. I'm excited to dip in. I saw a couple of the Game 7s last year, and now we're going to have to witness them again as the Avalanche and the Stars tonight, Winnipeg and the Blues tomorrow. Good weekend of hockey, good Game 7s coming up. The Avalanche Stars, man, I think it can go either way.
Yeah, that one is tonight, 6 p.m. puck drop. Where is it's at?
It's at Dallas.
It's at Dallas.
Yeah,
okay.
That's right.
That I don't know. Dallas has traditionally been really good in the playoffs, but of course Colorado, again, they could have been one of the dynasties in NHL history, but losing their captain and then trading away, again, Mikko Rantanen. We'll see if they're able to win a series. But we also know that they still have 2 of the best players in the NHL. So I don't know.
I think the best thing about the NHL playoffs, as we dip in and learn more and become more aware and watch these NHL playoffs games more often, is I think the fact that none of these matchups have been a per se boring matchup.
No.
They've been extremely competitive right up until the very end. They've been really good matchups.
It's not like the Thunder Grizzlies series.
Yeah, you don't have a Thunder Grizzlies, you don't have a Cavs Heat. Every second of the NHL playoffs has been super fun, super competitive, and that's what I think that's why you gotta love hockey, man. Gotta love hockey.
Yeah, I would definitely tune into the game tonight, and Game 7 between Jets and Blues is tomorrow. But I'm going to go, at the top of my head, I'm going Avalanche.
I'm going Stars.
Okay, we'll see. And then I'll go Blues, I guess.
You're going Blues? I guess I'll go Winnipeg.
All right, Stanley Cup playoffs, tune in. Again, 2 Game 7s back-to-back. Let's take another break. Alex, coming up on the other side, we will hit technical fouls. Gotta talk LeBron. We'll hit that next. This is the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Christian Esparza and Alex Napoles. Hope you are having a wonderful Saturday morning. The weather has been awesome lately.
It was a little cold earlier in the week.
Was it?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know I was in California.
Oh, my goodness. Just rub it in everybody's face, why don't you, Christian? No, it was a little cold early in the week, but it's heated up nicely. Today is supposed to be an exceptionally extraordinary day. 80 degrees in some areas. Go outside, make those burgers, make those steaks, get some barbecues going, go to the park, touch some grass. It's good times, man.
You watch boxing?
No, I don't.
Oh. There's a big fight tonight.
There is a big fight tonight.
Canelo Alvarez.
Make some carne asada with that fight, man.
I know.
Let's go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's get into technical fouls. I guess I'll start us off because this is kind of an easy one. I got to go with LeBron James here.
And what did LeBron James do this time to constitute a
long story
foul?
short, he allegedly hurt his knee pretty bad in their loss to the Timberwolves. And they're making this big deal. Breaking news, LeBron James suffered a grade 2 MCL sprain in his left knee during the loss. He will be out for weeks. He's out for the whole summer because they lost. I don't care.
Yeah.
And they're saying that even if the series was extended, LeBron wouldn't be able to play.
That's such a weird way to put it.
I don't care. Yeah.
That's such an odd way to put it. For the Lakers to come out and be like, look, if we would have advanced, he would have been out multiple weeks. And it's like,
who cares?
You didn't advance.
You didn't advance, so it doesn't matter. I don't need an injury report. I literally do not care about LeBron James's knee because they are out of the playoffs and it does not affect anything at all.
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
No, it really doesn't. It seems like, I don't know. It seems like he just wanted more headlines, man. The headlines.
Oh, duh.
The headlines
LeBron
are,
James.
yeah, dude. The headlines are already coming out about him potentially, People asking him what his future looks like. People asking him whether or not he's staying, whether or not he's retiring. And to maybe, I don't know, I take away from that or just keep his name spiraling in the headlines, comes out with the knee injury.
He has to find a way to make literally anything about himself.
Yes.
Oh, you get bounced from the playoffs in the first round after you traded for a top 5 player in the league this year? Yeah, let's make this about you.
Do you remember when Ovechkin broke the Gretzky's record?
Yes.
And the next morning, First Take or whatever show Stephen A's on,
yeah,
they were talking about how Ovechkin breaking the record and how that impacts LeBron's legacy.
They literally made a LeBron legacy conversation out of it. It's annoying. That's why people
don't know how to put this, but
he's not a big deal.
I'm kind of a big deal.
He's not a big deal, not anymore. And it's just LeBron takes the headlines, man, because it's LeBron.
Yeah, so let's give him some more headlines. Technical foul on you.
There you go. I think for me, man, my technical foul this week, Tyrese Halliburton's father.
What's his name? Is it John?
I can't remember. We're just going to call him Dad this segment. Look, man, I get it.
It is John.
After
what did he do?
Okay. So Tyrese Halliburton, he has a great game, closes out the series against the Bucks, and he comes up, and you see on the camera, you see on the clip that was posted on social media, you see him go up to Giannis Antetokounmpo,
yeah,
and he's like celebrating in his face, and Giannis, you can see him just staring him down,
yeah,
and Giannis
thinking
is
about
like,
what I should do.
He's contemplating whether or not he's going to sock this guy in the face.
Yeah, and he should have.
You see it clearly on his face that he wants to punch this guy, and look, I get it. Your kid was voted the most overrated player anonymously by the players' poll. And for him to come out and have that performance against one of the best players, one of the stars of the league in Giannis, like, that's great. That's amazing. But you came onto the court, antagonized Giannis, and made it about you, and I think that's a huge technical foul.
Thankfully, though, the Pacers did what's right, and they banned him from the rest of the games, at least throughout the playoffs. Now, they didn't come out and say that they banned him. They're just saying that he won't be attending home or away games anymore throughout the playoff or for the foreseeable future. They banned him.
Look, I get he's his dad.
Yeah.
I get he's his father. I get he's excited and whatnot, but this is basically a fan going up to Giannis and doing the same thing.
Right. But it's worse.
Yes. There's no reason why you should be on the court, man.
No.
Zero.
I'm because that takes a lot to do that to Tyrese and say, hey, look, your dad is a problem. We can't have this happen ever again.
Yeah.
So he needs to stay away. Like, to do that to your star player, the face of your team, that takes a lot. And hopefully Tyrese responds well. I think he understands. I didn't see the interview, but I think he gave a quote talking about how that wasn't okay. Yeah. And I'm glad for that because that just shows maturity on his end.
No, I thought Halliburton handled it really well. Yeah. Handled it all really well. And honestly, so did Giannis, man. If someone came up to me like that and started, F-bombing me after losing a game, like, I'd be pretty upset. So I thought both of the players handled it really well. Giannis kind of went on a longer rant in his post-game press conference and, just talked about respect, talked about being humble. And Haliburton had a good response to it too. And so I thought both of the players handled the situation really well, but Tyrese Haliburton's dad, no.
Yeah, not cool, man.
No, you didn't.
We got one more. We're going to go with Colorado Rockies just for being bad.
Womp. Dude, they're horrible. So the White Sox last season set a record for, being one of the worst teams.
Ever.
And
the Rockies might be even worse.
And the Rockies might beat it, dude. They've only won 6 games this season. I'm not a big follower of the baseball or religiously watch baseball, but I do I keep an eye on the scores. I keep an eye on what's going on. And
6-26, by the way, is their record.
The Rockies being, our neighbors and being one of the closer MLB teams. Got my eyes on the Rockies, and man, they're not good this year.
Yeah. Just looking through their schedule. They had an 8-game losing streak pretty recently. They also had another, I think, 8-game losing streak.
Yeah. They're not good. And I would not be, unless something drastically changes, I wouldn't be surprised if they beat the White Sox record that was set last season.
Yeah, that's always unfortunate. Again, see a lot of Denver fans talking about how much they hate the Rockies and how upset they are with that. So feel bad for our neighbors across the Rockies.
I don't.
You don't feel bad for them?
No. They have an NBA championship. They got a Stanley Cup.
That's true.
Recently,
both of them.
Yeah, they're fine.
Oh, well, they won't be winning MLB Finals.
World
was
Series.
It called? A World Series. Duh. Brain fart. Won't be winning a World Series anytime soon.
Absolutely not.
All right, let's take a break. Coming up next on the other side, speaking of Giannis, we're going to talk about him. What should the Bucks do? What should some of these other franchises do that were eliminated in the first round of the playoffs? We'll hit that next. This is the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for listening to us.
Go mow the lawn, pop in the headphones, and tune into the Saturday Show, man.
I mowed my lawn yesterday.
Nice.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Fun just because, we just recently bought a house, so right now it's fun. Just because it's all new.
Just wait till you do it for
I know.
For a year.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm already going to be sick of it soon.
Hey, man, you going to go watch the Thunderbolts?
Yeah, I will. I need to watch the Captain America first.
I still need to watch that too.
But it's on streaming right now, so I'll hit that, and then I think I'll be tuning into Thunderbolts. I've heard it's all right.
I'm going tomorrow, man.
Are you?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of really positive things about it.
Good.
Is the MCU back?
TBD. TBD. Man, that run they went on from basically Iron Man 1 up until Endgame. Like that.
Honestly.
That was something special.
It was. That was a big part of my childhood.
Yeah.
Huge part of my childhood.
And they have been fighting to stay relevant ever since. I don't think they've put anything out really good. A couple of the shows have been all right, but.
Yeah. I'm going to go watch it tomorrow, man. I'm excited.
Let's talk, we've been teasing this all show. Us being here in Salt Lake City, anytime another NBA team disappoints, we immediately think that, because of, our situation with the Jazz, we immediately think, we got to trade for their best player. They must be wanting to move on from them, right? If they're out of the playoffs. So I want to go through some of these teams that have been eliminated and what would be best for them. And I guess the big one is Milwaukee. We'll start with them. Obviously, Damian Lillard tearing his Achilles was really unfortunate. He had the blood clots in his calf, fought so hard to return from that injury, returns, plays a couple games, tears his Achilles at age 35. He might be done. I don't even know if he's going to attempt to make a return. He's definitely going to miss all of next season at least. So then at that point, you're talking about a 37-year-old Damian Lillard who already has been on a steep decline. And because of that trade for Dame, they have no resource. They have no picks. They have no money. So how can Milwaukee even try and get better after this? I don't know.
Injury aside from Damian Lillard, it hasn't worked out.
Right.
He hasn't. I don't think.
I said, he had been on a steep decline anyway.
Right. he hasn't been the Dame that we saw in Portland. And I mean, age, different team. It hasn't. The reality is, it hasn't worked out. For the Milwaukee Bucks, with no assets, with not much room to work with in the salary cap, with not, they got a lot of decisions to make this offseason. You probably won't be able to entice anybody to trade or make a move for Damian Lillard. Maybe not even the Utah Jazz. But
no, and we can talk about that in just a sec.
You know who would be interesting and would probably bring you a lot of value to blow it up and reset your franchise?
Oh, Giannis.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Right. So do you think that is the path forward for Milwaukee?
I think it's time for them to seriously consider it.
I think it all depends on Giannis. I think it depends on him and whether or not he wants to try and stick it out. I think if he is traded, it's going to be because of a request. I don't think Milwaukee would shop him without his permission. But that's where it gets interesting because, of course, the Jazz have a lot of assets. The unfortunate part is, we talked about earlier in the show, teams like the Rockets, teams like the Thunder, who for Giannis would probably be more appealing today. And the Thunder, we all know, have a ton of picks to give. They could match probably any trade that the Jazz would offer. And they would even offer more as probably young players as well. Because their young players today, right now, are better than the Jazz.
I would agree. And look, the Thunder have a lot of assets. And that's the scary thing about Oklahoma City, right? Is they're the best team in the West. They're playing really good basketball, and they have the room to make moves. They can make what's already been a really great team even better.
Yeah.
With the assets that they've accumulated.
Somebody like Giannis.
They could make a move for Giannis. But I mean, the same thing can be said for a team like the Jazz, who has a crap ton of assets.
Yeah.
A bunch of assets. Their war chest is really full right now. And I would think the Rockets also have some of those assets to potentially make a move. Mm-hmm. We talked about the Rockets, maybe making a move for another star this offseason with, potentially LeBron. But honestly, if I had to pick between LeBron and Giannis, I'd go Giannis.
I would as well. I think I agree with you there. The Heat, just going back to teams that have been eliminated, I don't think the Heat are really in a position to blow anything up. Again, they already kind of did that by trading Jimmy. And they didn't really get a lot in return. They got Andrew Wiggins. And then as far as draft picks, I don't think they got, what did they get, 1 or 2 or something like that? Mm-hmm. Not a ton. I don't think that they would trade away Bam. They might trade away Tyler Herro. He was brought up in talks a lot, but that was before they traded Jimmy. So maybe they do just hit full reset and trade away Tyler Herro as well. I don't really know what to expect from them. I wouldn't be surprised either way. I don't think they're in a position, though, to chase anybody if a star becomes available. But you never know with Pat Riley. And they kind of have made a lot out of nothing. Even with those Jimmy Butler teams making runs to the finals, nobody really expected that of them. So they're always kind of a wild card.
I think for the Heat, I think it would be in their best interest to make a move for a star.
You think so?
I do think so.
Miami is a very attractive place.
It is. It's incredibly attractive for any player in the league. And they have a lot of younger guys that can be leveraged in a trade. Whether that involves Bam Adebayo or Tyler Herro, and they decide to move on, that's yet to be seen. But they do have some guys on that roster, young guys that have value, I would say, like a Jamie Jaquez.
Yeah,
and so I think it would be in their best benefit to see if they can bring in a superstar, because right now you look at that roster, man, and besides Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo, they have a lot of role-playing players.
Yeah. They need something.
And an aging Kevin Love, who I love.
He's basically, I don't want to say worthless. That's pretty rude. On his on-court value is almost nothing, and he's not going to get you anything in a trade.
Right. I only bring him up because
he's cool.
Kevin Love is one of my favorite players. But again, this is a Miami team who in the past have been star-studded, star-laden, and right now they just don't have that really big name that sticks out besides maybe a Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
And they need some star power on that team.
Pistons, I don't think should do anything. I think they just got to ride it out. If anything, they might be buyers. They could have the potential to make a big splash, but the jump that we saw from last year to this year, I think, is really encouraging.
Yes.
I think the main takeaway from this conversation is that if anybody becomes available, that would be awesome for the Jazz, but they're going to be competing with a lot of teams.
That is true.
And similar to the Rockets, we talked about this earlier, no matter what happens in Game 7, whether they win in advance or whether Golden State wins and Houston goes home, I think the Rockets are going to be the biggest players for anybody that would come available, whether that is a Kevin Durant, a LeBron James, a Giannis. Who knows there? But I think the Jazz are going to have a lot of competition if these trading blocks open up, which I think they will, by the way. I think this is going to be a crazy offseason in the NBA.
I would agree.
Kind of kick-started by the Luka Doncic trade. I think that really kind of woke people up and said, hey, there's going to be a lot of movement. We got to get ahead of it. Even saw a report earlier this week that the Celtics could be into making some trades. Not necessarily Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, but you look at guys like Porzingis and Drew Holiday that have been key pieces to their championship roster. They might have to move on because of the CBA. So there is, I think there is going to be a lot of trade movement in the NBA this summer.
I think there's a lot of teams that have reached a tipping point.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And what I mean by that is, you have the Grizzlies. Whoever doesn't advance out of the Nuggets and the Clippers might be at that tipping point as well. Who else? We talked about the Heat. We talked about the Bucks.
Lakers.
The Lakers are at that tipping point.
Yeah,
which is crazy to think about, considering they made that trade. That's probably is about to start this whole thing.
Yeah. And so by tipping point, you mean you have to do something, whether it's blow it up or make a big move to get somebody?
Yes, because you look at a team like the Grizzlies, and their window has been open for the last...
Probably since they bounced the Jazz from the playoffs.
I would think...
They played the Jazz in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think the Jazz won that series, right?
That was 21, I think.
Yeah.
Or 2020.
The Jazz won that series.
One of the two. But anyway, they've had a window open, and they haven't even done anything with it.
Right.
They haven't even made it to a conference finals, despite that window being open for the Memphis Grizzlies. So they're at a tipping point where they need to decide what they're going to do to either get them over that hump or just start fresh.
Yeah, well, to tie it into the Jazz, we saw them hit that tipping point.
Yeah.
They made the Mike Conley trade. They made the move for Bogey. They thought that was it. They thought that they were ready to compete, and they kind of almost got close, but they never really, like you're saying, they never even hit the conference finals. And so it hit a point where it's like, okay, we don't really have the assets to make this roster a whole lot better.
Right.
It's time to blow it up and go a different direction. And of course, that it's easier with a new owner and bringing in a new coach and all of that. It's easier to hit the reset button then. But with these teams, I think the Grizzlies are a good example. You just get to a point where it's like, okay, we've tried, and we just can't get it done. We've got to make a change. Whether it's a small change, whether it's a big change like what the Jazz did, and just completely nuking the entire roster. Getting swept in a playoff series is embarrassing.
Yes.
Especially to a team. I know the Thunder had the best, they were the best team in the West all regular season. But it's not like these guys have won a championship yet. Not like it's the Celtics.
But with the roster you have with Memphis, you should be competing for more.
Right. You have Jaren Jackson Jr. You have Ja Morant.
Desmond Bane.
Desmond Bane is a very, very good role player. They easily have the pieces to be winning a playoff series or two. And then when you get into that realm, it's like, okay, what can we do to make a big move and make ourselves better? But then when you get embarrassed in the playoffs, it's like, okay, Ja is not worth it at this point with all these off-the-court drama or even on the court with the celebrations. He's just not worth the headache.
Right.
So if you're Memphis, you got to think about probably trading Ja Morant at this point because, again, other than that, you don't have a way out.
I think Memphis is one of those teams that they've hit that tipping point. They have to figure out a way to reset. And
because you're not building around Ja anymore.
No, I think it's time to move on.
I wouldn't.
I think it's time to move on.
Yeah, I agree.
Look, man.
He's just not worth it.
He's not. And he's had plenty of years, plenty of opportunities to show that with him at the helm of this Memphis team, he had plenty of opportunities to show that he could put them over that hump.
And to be honest with you, even aside from all of the headache stuff, just looking at him as a player, he's not a true superstar. I really don't think he doesn't have the shooting. Anthony Edwards has taken such a big step forward. Aside from just being an athletic player, he has really added to his shooting.
Right.
Ja Morant has not done that. And the athleticism is going to fade as he gets older. And he's still got some time left. It's not like he's old by any means.
25.
But you can't win with your athleticism throughout an entire NBA career. And if you don't add your shooting, then at that point you're just going to be, a guy. You're not going to be good enough to lead a team anymore.
I think obviously we have to wait to find out what the Jazz are going to do pending the lottery, May 12th. We're almost there, Christian.
Week from Monday.
We're almost there. I think a lot of it is going to fall on, what happens with that. But if, the Jazz pick off or make a pick for a guy that can potentially change your franchise for the better.
Yeah.
Cooper Flag. Then I think that you got to look at Memphis and see if they decide to reset, if they truly decide to blow it up, Memphis might be a good team to look at and say, what can we pick off here to get us to speed up that rebuild?
Not Ja Morant, because I think we both would be out on Ja, but somebody like a Desmond Bane. I don't think they would trade Jaren Jackson Jr. I don't think they're that desperate yet. But
with a reset, with the rebuild, who knows what becomes available, right?
Right. Nobody thought the Jazz would trade Rudy and Donovan, but they did.
Exactly. And so if something interesting like a Bane becomes available for Memphis, I think that's an opportunity you have to take.
Yeah. Okay, I'll rapid fire. I'll throw some names at you, and you tell me if you think the Jazz should be in or out.
Ooh, okay.
Ja Morant.
Out.
Jamal Murray.
In.
You would be in on Jamal Murray.
I would be in on Jamal Murray.
Michael Porter Jr.
Ooh. I love his shooting. Phenomenal three-point shooter, but I'm going to say out.
Jaden McDaniels from Minnesota.
In.
LeBron James.
Out.
Let's see. Rockets.
Would LeBron ever really want to come to Utah, though?
No. Jalen Green.
Oh, you got to be in for Jalen Green.
Jonathan Kuminga.
Out.
Out?
Out. I would be out for Kuminga.
Tyler Hero.
Oh, in.
Giannis.
In.
The Pistons? I don't think the Pistons would really trade anybody.
No, I think the Pistons, they got a good core. If they trade anybody, it'd be like...
Who could the Magic trade away? Suggs or Cole Anthony?
Out.
Out?
I've been extremely disappointed by Cole Anthony.
Yeah. So
for how much hype Cole Anthony had, he just hasn't lived up to it.
Yeah. Well, again, I do think it's going to be an interesting offseason. I think the Jazz are going to have the opportunity to make moves. Yes. They're going to have to win some bidding wars. We could see trade packages become outrageous, kind of like what we saw for Mikal Bridges. The Jazz might have to say goodbye to some of these players that we've watched them develop over the last season or two. We'll see. Again, like you say, though, Alex, it all hinges on the draft. If you win the lottery and you get Cooper Flag or even like a Dylan Harper or maybe an Ace Bailey, but mainly Harper or Flag, I think,
Yes.
You could talk yourself into being close enough to make another big trade and trying to make yourself better quickly.
And like you mentioned, man, it feels like we're at that point where there's teams that are going to have to make some moves. They're going to have to reset. There's teams that I feel like are at the point, they've reached that tipping point. And so players are going to become available. And I think if everything works out for the Jazz, as far as the lottery goes, maybe even a top 3 pick.
Yeah.
Then why not make a splash for another guy who can come in, complement your first round picks, and really push this rebuild forward.
But then if the Jazz lose the lottery, if they end up at 4 or 5, you're still getting a good player, but not really somebody to build around. Then you have to sit back and watch as all these other teams are making moves in the offseason, wondering, why can't we be in on that? It could be a really fun summer or a really long summer.
Well, that's worst case scenario.
That is worst case scenario.
Absolute worst case scenario. But and it's interesting, man, how much this all, especially from the Jazz perspective, it's interesting how much this all falls on
luck, on literal luck,
on luck,
on ping pong balls. Allegedly,
do those ping pong balls go your way?
I sure as hell hope so. We'll see.
We're almost there, man.
I know.
May 12th.
When will then be now? Soon.
I don't know why, man, but
I'm anxious for it.
I am too. As we're getting closer and closer to it, you can feel a little bit of like more anxiety, I guess, building towards this, right? Because it is the luck of the draw, man. Where are you lucky enough to land?
And we recognize how huge this specific day is for the Jazz.
Right.
This can literally be the difference maker in what the next 10 years look like for the Utah Jazz. Are they going to have a chance to make a run? Now, not to say, if they lose the lottery, you can still make moves down the road, right, in the next year or two, and you still have next year's draft.
And that's the great thing about the assets you've accumulated.
Right. But this one in particular, Cooper Flagg is a very special player, and landing him would be a dramatic difference for the Jazz.
2 questions for you before we wrap it up. 1, if the Jazz don't get the number 1 overall pick, do they leverage some of their assets to trade up?
They would be dumb to not try, but then whoever does win the lottery would be dumb to even think about trading away Cooper Flagg. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah. I would definitely try, but there's no way that, a team trades out.
I think you have to, right?
Yeah, you got to try. That's your due diligence.
I think you have
to.
You
have to.
Question number 2. Is this the most important draft lottery in the history of the Utah Jazz?
Yeah.
By far.
Yes. Because this is what it was. This is what blowing up your roster was for.
Yes.
Was to be bad, get the best draft picks that you can, and then just rebuild from there. And this is what it's all about. This is trying to get the next franchise guy.
May 12th.
Week from Monday.
I'm excited. I'm excited but anxious, man.
Yep.
You can feel it. You can feel the tension growing, and I love it.
And then we can finally take a bit of a sigh of relief until the draft. I believe it's June 26th or 28th. Spacing it right now, but even that's a big day too.
Huge day. We're getting close, man. We're getting close, and it's going to be, man, again, it's the luck of the draw.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's not 5th. Knock on some wood, man. Knock on some freaking wood.
All right, and on that, let's take a break. Coming up next, we'll hit 5 minutes of, talk a little bit about some more things that we have not touched on yet throughout the show. This is the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All righty, time for 5 minutes of. Got a lot to talk about, not a lot of time, so let's get it. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Breaking news, BYU just landed a commit. Football, Stanford quarterback Bear Bachmeier has transferred to the Cougs. It looks like he was an early graduate and enrolled in Stanford in January and then just barely transferred to BYU. So that's a little weird.
It is,
right?
It
Graduating early to go
right,
to Stanford
right.
and then immediately hitting the portal.
But, I mean, that's That's the world we live in today, man.
I guess.
That that is the college sports landscape that we're in. Maybe, promises weren't met at Stanford. The situation probably wasn't ideal for him. I don't know what the situation was, but because of the way everything is set up now, I mean, you can absolutely do that. You can go. I mean, there was a player from Texas Tech, a wide receiver, who transferred to Texas A&M in the winter window and then transferred back to Texas Tech this spring window.
That's funny.
So it's like...
It's a mess.
It's a mess. You can do whatever you want.
4-star recruit, dual threat quarterback. Obviously, we know Jake Retzlaff is going to be the starter. They're pretty comfortable with that. Sounds like he's going to be competing for the backup spot with McKay Hillstead. Trayson Bourget also has been with the program for a little bit. I like Hillstead. I watched him at Utah State when he was there. He's a little short, but he's got an arm and he can run. I would probably say McKay would probably be my favorite to be the backup, but who knows? I mean, again, there's so much turnover. You never know. But anytime you can land a 4-star prospect, I mean, good job on the Cougs.
Sounds like he's bringing his brother with him, too.
His brother?
Hasn't been confirmed yet, but the Bear and Tiger wanted to play together.
Is that really his name?
Yeah, that's their names, man. Bear Bachmeyer and Tiger Bachmeyer.
I'm a big fan of their dad, Lion.
I was going to say they have a younger sister named Lion.
Oh, man. They want to play together, and so they were both on visits. I wouldn't be surprised if hearing them.
Oh, the dad's name... Oh, never mind. Hank is the oldest brother.
Oh.
Hank, Bear, and Tiger.
What a weird combo, man. But it works, I guess.
It sounds like Tiger did visit BYU. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. And Tiger is a wide receiver, by the way. So that would be fun.
Good little Tiger and Bear tandem, man.
Yeah.
Could be fun.
Let's talk NFL draft. I know we spent quite a bit of time last week talking about it as the draft day 3 started during the show last week. I think what surprised me was there were hardly any locals that got drafted. Caleb Lohner got selected by the Broncos in, I think, the 7th round.
Yes.
And, we were talking about Junior Tafuna, Tyler Batty as guys that were getting drafted. But no, Denver took a shot on Caleb Lohner, which I thought was interesting because what do you have? I think he had 6 catches last year, 4 catches and 3 touchdowns.
He went 4 for 4, man.
4 for 4, okay.
He went 4 for 4.
4 catches and they were all touchdowns.
Yes, man.
That's hilarious, actually. But of course, former basketball player. He's like 6'7". He's huge. But yeah, 4 receptions for 54 yards and 4 touchdowns. He was the only local outside of Jalen Royals to get drafted. Of course, Jalen Royals goes to the Chiefs later than anybody thought. I thought he was going to go in the 2nd or 3rd round, but
didn't Parker text you?
Yeah, he did. I don't want to talk about it.
He's giggling. He's giggling behind the glass over there, man.
I said my piece on that. Christian can just stew in it.
It's I do. It makes me mad. It makes me sick because it's a great fit for Jalen Royals.
Good pickup. It's a phenomenal pickup.
They've already got Rashid Shaheed and Xavier Worthy, who have their roles pretty defined for Kansas City. But Jalen Royals offers a different skill set than either of those two guys. He can be the outside receiver that neither of those two guys are. And then, of course, catching passes from Patrick Mahomes is not a bad thing at all. So I don't know how immediately he's going to contribute as a 4th-round pick, but the potential is there.
Absolutely. I'm surprised that so as far as like looking at Utah and BYU, I'm surprised that
nobody else got drafted.
Of all the players, even of all the players, Caleb Lohner of all people got selected.
Yeah, and that's more of and this is a conversation I think I talked about a little bit with the pick that the Bengals made, where teams will take bets on upside, right? I mean, 6'7", huge guy, big wingspan. Yeah, let's take a shot on that.
Right.
And that's where you see kind of the thought process there. But it really surprised me that Tafuna and Batty specifically did not get drafted. Now, they did sign undrafted free agent deals. Tafuna landed with the Texans. Tyler Batty signed with the Vikings. You also had guys like Karene Reed. He signed with the Broncos as well. Caleb Etienne is going to Cincinnati. Mekhi Bernard is going with the Titans. And then you got Zemaia Vaughn is going to the Vikings as well. And some of these guys are just camp invites, not undrafted free agent deals. But I was a little surprised to see not much talent get drafted.
And I feel like, in the sense of like BYU, they had a phenomenal season last season, right? You were just shy of a Big 12 championship game. You'd absolutely take it to Colorado in the Alamo Bowl. But I feel like a lot of the players that made BYU, they're returning. They're coming back.
Right, and that's the big thing with them.
And I think that, I mean, it sucks, yes, to not have any of your guys selected. But I don't think that's a knock on the program. I don't think that's a knock on BYU. I just think that's mostly because a lot of your key contributors and a lot of your star playmakers are coming back for next season, man.
Yeah.
Glasker, Kelly, Retzlaff, Roberts. They're in for another season.
Meanwhile, for the Utes, it's hard when you have a disappointing season and you play in Salt Lake City, you're going to fly under the radar. That's how it is. It sucks, but that's how it is. So I think that the players that they get drafted, the amount of players that they get drafted is always going to kind of be dependent on their win total. I mean, The year before, they had a great year.
Right.
And we saw Cole Bishop go in the third round. So we'll see what happens this year. If they can be a double-digit win team, then you're going to see guys like Lander Barton go pretty high.
And then I also think that with Utah, there was a lot of, the season did not go the way anybody had planned or expected. But you also had a guy like Karene Reed who had a lot of draft upside, but dealt with injuries.
Yeah.
And, the same thing can be said about a Connor O'Toole. And there's a couple of guys on there.
Even Zemaia Vaughn.
And the interesting thing with Zemaia Vaughn is I think that season, that 8-4 season, there was some draft hype around him, whether or not he was going to go. He ended up coming back, and I think he just fell out because of the way Utah season played out.
Yeah.
And so if you're winning, if you're on the radar, obviously you get better looks and better opportunities to potentially be drafted. And I think that's just the case for Utah this year, is that the season didn't go the way they wanted it to. It didn't go as planned. And I think that's the reason why a lot of these guys fell.
The good news is a lot of I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that at least didn't get a like a camp deal or something.
Right.
So a lot of these guys are going to have opportunities to prove themselves throughout the summer. I do want to point out that Denver double dipping on Utah again is funny. Yeah, they are the Denver Utes. So that's cool, but we'll see how many of these guys end up sticking throughout the training camps and off-season programs like that.
I think at the end of the day, man, you just need that one person to believe in you.
Yeah.
You just need that one person to take the chance on you. And obviously, it's a lot on the players, too, to show up and prove that they belong. But I think that there's a lot. You look at a guy like, like Batty, like Reed, like Tafuna, a bunch of these undrafted guys from both the BYU and the Utah side. They got a lot to give. They got a lot to bring to a team, and if they can go into those camps, if they can go into the rookie camps and prove it, all you need is that one person to give you a second look and that chance and that opportunity, and hopefully they run with it, man. It'd be awesome to see some of these guys.
And a lot of these guys, even though they're undrafted, they fill positions of need for the teams that they're on. Like I know
that's also true.
The Broncos need a linebacker, and I know they signed Dre Greenlaw in the offseason, but they didn't draft anybody.
Right.
Then they bring in Karene Reed, so he does have a clear path to playing a role, if nothing else, on special teams and then filling in as a backup. Same thing with Zemaia Vaughn. I know the Vikings need depth at corner. I know that for a fact. And so, yeah, it sucks that you didn't hear your name called by the commissioner during the draft, but the opportunity is still there.
Absolutely. So it'll be fun as rookie camps develop and everything kind of gets played out. It'll be interesting to see which of these local guys can secure a spot on that roster and become NFL players.
Yeah, we'll see. Time for one more break. Coming up next, we will wrap this show up, talk about what we got going on. We will hit RSL briefly. This is the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Wrapping up the Saturday show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Christian Esparza, and Alex Napoles is with me as always. There you go.
Oh, man. What a jam, dude.
Great song. Alex, let's hit RSL. We got them playing today. It is a Saturday, of course. They're going to be playing at Vancouver today. First kick, 7:30. And as always, we're going to have the pre-match show here on the Zone. That will be at 6:30. But how do you feel about this Vancouver matchup for Real Salt Lake?
Look, man, Vancouver just coming off a really, really big win. They beat Inter Miami in the Champions League. They knocked out Lionel Messi and Miami. They're on to the finals of the Champions League. And so I believe that this is a Vancouver side who this season, they're number one in MLS. They've been the best team in the league this season. But I do think that they'll come in a little bit rotated. They'll start resting as they start preparing for a big final coming up for them. And RSL is playing with a little bit more confidence after that 3-1 win against San Diego. Diego Luna, man, has really taken control of this team. I still think Luna can't do it all. I still think he needs some extra help, some extra support. And while Luna's on this hot streak, I think RSL have to take advantage of it. If they can come out with a draw in Canada, I think that's a really positive result for Real Salt Lake.
Vancouver has 23 points on the season to Real Salt Lake's 12, so almost double the point total there. But let's talk about that win over San Diego FC last week a little bit. 3-1 for Real Salt Lake. Diego Luna had a goal there. You mentioned that he has been 2 goals?
2 goals.
Oh, okay. I was reading the stat sheet wrong. 2 goals there, but you mentioned he can't do it all. But what have you seen from Luna this year that, gives you confidence that he is their guy going forward?
Well, I think he's understood that this is his team now. And he's really taken a step forward as far as creating and as far as the playmaking ability goes. He has a really good vision to create and make things happen. Even without your true goal scorer, Luna has kind of taken the creating, the goal scoring, and everything in between onto him, and he stepped up to the plate, man. He had 2 goals against the Galaxy, and now he has 2 goals against San Diego. He's one of the most promising young guys right now in the league, and he's shown it with a lot of really impressive performances. Real Salt Lake They got a little bit of a gem, man, hidden gem, in Diego Luna, and it's awesome to see him grow. I remember when he came into the league, he was getting like 10 minutes a game, and anytime he would be on the field, he would make an impact. And then finally, as he got more and more accustomed to Major League Soccer in the league, he's really, really stepped it up, and it's fun kind of watching him grow, man.
And he's hitting his stride at a time when they really needed it.
Yes.
Because coming into this season, they had no idea really what was going to happen. I mean, the hope was that Luna would take the step, and it looks like he has so far 5 goals through 9 games. He's also added 2 assists. So he seems like he is going to be the next homegrown guy for Real Salt Lake, which is nice because when they've been at their best, it seems like they've always had kind of, again, that homegrown guy that has developed with the team, come up from the very start, and then taken those steps into becoming kind of the star for Real Salt Lake.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at a guy like Justin Glad, who for the longest time was that homegrown that stepped up. Even guys now like Emeka Nelly, who's taking a really big step forward in his game, got called up to the men's national team over the offseason. And players like that develop and learn and master any system and really take those big step forwards, those are the players to be excited about. Luna being one of them. And Diego Luna, man, has absolutely taken his opportunity to make this his team, and he's ran with it. Pablo Mastroeni even said in the post-game press conference last week, like, he's not a kid anymore. This is Luna's team. And he's really stepped up to the plate in a situation where you don't necessarily have the goal scorer to come in and make that difference. Luna has been there to kind of carry that burden, and it'd be interesting to see where Real Salt Lake are right now without a guy like Luna.
So I didn't get the chance to watch last week because I was driving, but did Johnny Russell and William Agata, did they make their
Willie Agata
debuts?
did, yeah. Agata played, I want to say 15, 20-ish minutes.
So still acclimating a little bit.
Still acclimating. Johnny Russell hasn't played, and it sounds like he might not play tonight either. He hasn't played a game since October, and so while they've been trying to get him back up to fitness and get him ready, it sounds like there's a little bit of a precautionary thing happening with his hamstring. So we might have to wait to see a Johnny Russell debut. But we've talked to Johnny a couple times now, and while he was on the hated rivals, Sporting Kansas City, Parker, while he was on the hated rivals, he's had a couple of opportunities to talk to him now, and seems like a really good guy to bring in.
Good.
Veteran experience, veteran leader, and I'm excited to see him get on the field.
You do expect to see some Willie Agata tonight.
He's also on the maybe card.
Oh, he
right
is?
now. Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
Not dealing with injury, dealing with some paperwork stuff.
Okay.
So we'll see if Agata makes the trip. I don't think he did. It sounded like Russell did make the trip, but he's not expected to suit up.
That's always got to be rough to figure all that out last minute, coming from other places and figuring out, because not only do you play in the United States, but yeah, you see like Real Salt Lake, you've got to go travel at Vancouver. And then some of these guys, I know these guys were with Sporting Kansas City, but it's like some of them are coming from all over the world. So it can be hard to make that work.
It is, man. And
last second.
But I think that's one of the fun things about soccer is like the international market, being able to bring in guys from all over the world. You get to talk to and interact with all these people. It's fun, man. It's fun to hear stories, hear perspectives from different parts of the world as far as soccer goes, and it's fun, man.
All right. Also coming up on the Zone today, we got the Utah Royals playing today. They are hosting who's NCC? I don't even know that.
North Carolina Courage.
Okay.
North Carolina Courage.
Well, that game is at 7. Well, pre-match 7:30, and then first kick will be at 8. That will be on the 1280 signal, and then coming up on X Streaming and 102.7 HD2, the Bees will be playing 6:20 pre-match first. I'm totally
first
spacing.
Pitch.
First. No, the pre-match
on deck circle.
On deck circle. That's what it is.
That's what he calls it.
On deck circle at 6:20, and then first pitch is at 6:35. Bees are playing at Albuquerque, by the way. So
yes.
Packed evening for you here on the Zone, and we'll catch you next week. This is the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.